lived in this house with my mama, my daddy, and my 3 sisters for 7 years. There is no running water. There is no electricity.
That is Kansas City Congressman Emanuel Cleaver telling his personal story about his housing struggles earlier in life. He made his remarks at a recent event in D.C. called the People's Hearing on Housing, where more than 100 people from across the country shared their own experiences about struggling to afford decent housing. It was organized by the People's Action as part of a campaign to bring new attention to the lack of affordable housing in America. He joins us right now via St. Louis. Congressman Cleaver, how you doing?
Good morning.
It's very interesting. One of the things that, I've covered city politics for a very long time, and one of the problems that we have now is you have this push in these cities for all this new housing downtown and mixed-use development, and they call it affordable housing, where developers are taking advantage of tax breaks, but who can actually afford some of these places when they're $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 condos?
Well, very few. The supply of affordable housing has dropped, believe it or not, 60% between 2010 and 2016. And one of the reasons is what you just mentioned, Roland, and that is gentrification. Yes, there are new housing coming into just about every major city, including Kansas City, Missouri. And the problem is the cost of rents are not keeping up with the incomes of the people who need to rent or to buy. And HUD, which has historically been, since 1965 at least, the way in which we do low-income housing. And HUD is being stripped of the financial resources to help major cities. And without some kind of subsidy, affordable housing is not going to be built because the cost of building it will exceed the capacity of low-income people to rent. So we've got a national problem, and it's being ignored by this administration.
Let me go to Tara Raghuveer. Of course, she is the housing campaign lead for People's Action. And Tara, this is an issue that, again, you look at right now, even the Senate tax bill, where you have Senator Marco Rubio is demanding that they put in some credits, if you will, on the housing side. At the end of the day, though, what will this administration do? What will this Congress do to address the issue of affordable housing?
Thanks, Roland. The nation's housing crisis has reached emergency levels, and in 2017, as the congressman said, a person working full-time, paid minimum wage, can't afford a 2-bedroom apartment in any county in the United States. We also can't forget that this crisis reaches a breaking point almost exactly 10 years since 2008, when the big banks devastated American wealth and the economy, and American families lost something in the range of $16 trillion worth of wealth. And instead of meeting the challenges of the crisis, Congress has just voted for a tax scam, as you mentioned, that will only exacerbate the situation for low-income, working-class communities of color. And we shouldn't make any mistake. The tax scam will harm millions of the lowest-income seniors, people with disabilities, families with children, veterans, and other at-risk populations in need of federal support to keep a roof over their heads. So we joined the representative and other members in D.C. last week to declare a state of emergency and demand emergency relief.
Congressman Cleaver, when it comes to this issue, what we're seeing right now is we're seeing some change in the housing deal. First and foremost, a week ago at a rally in Florida, Donald Trump said that black home ownership is his highest rate in American history. That was a lie. That we fact-checked that. And part of the problem now is that because of these banks and others are still holding onto the homes that were lost during the subprime crisis, so many folks now are having to rent homes, and now those costs are skyrocketing as well. Your comment?
Absolutely, because we're not able to bring any new units online. And think about this, and your viewership will think about this. If you're making minimum wage, you're making $15,000 a year. And if you are paying 30% or more of your income on housing, you are cost burdened. And Lord help, if you have child care on the side, you can't make it. And this is a serious problem. I'm the ranking Democrat on the Housing and Insurance Subcommittee, which means that I have to work in contact with HUD and the new Secretary, Ben Carson. And I can tell you that the people of this country ought to be outraged at the fact that they're trying to cut the Community Development Block Grant, which could be used by cities to help subsidize. They're cutting historic and low-income tax credits, which makes constructing low-income housing almost, well, it is not affordable, and it's cost prohibitive.
Tara, a last question for you. What do you want someone watching to do about this?
Yeah, it's a great question, Roland. I think the first thing is to start having conversations like this one across the country. Housing has been the single largest expense for every American family since the 1960s. And as we've seen in recent public discourse, it's just not part of the conversation that we're having about the economy in this country, and it's not part of the conversation we're having about racial justice in this country, but it needs to be. And I think also the general public and our elected representative champions like Representative Cleaver need to support moving forward with an emergency relief package to address the state of emergency on housing right now. And that needs to begin with paying back the generations of wealth stolen from communities of color in particular.
All right, then, Tara, we appreciate it. Congressman Cleaver, we appreciate it as well. Thanks a lot.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh, my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.